My parents are Holocaust survivors. They're Polish Jews, and after they survived together, and then they went to a refugee camp called Fehrenwald, which was in a province called Wolfratshausen, right outside of Munich. It was a slave labor munitions camp that was transformed by in the American zone for refugees. And my father did Yiddish theater there. And I was born in 48 on the opening night of the Golem. But we came to Canada in 1949 when I was 9 months old, and through Canada's Ellis Island, which is Pier 21 in Halifax. And then, because my mother had relatives in Montreal, where a lot of Jewish immigrants went, and there was a large Jewish population there, that's where we ended up. And on the street was French Canadian working class people who were training their kids to be anti-Semitic, and Jewish immigrants who were training their kids to be anti-Catholic, and there were all these fights. But the way I spoke Yiddish was "Ich will gehen zu dem Magazin," which was a combination of Joual, which I can still understand, Joual, Joual, which is, I would say, a kind of a French-Canadian Ebonics, it's it's a patois, it's a French-Canadian street language, working class street language. It's very hard for French-speaking people to understand. But it was the language of the street, and so I didn't speak much English at all. I could understand a little Polish, because my parents spoke Polish when they didn't want me to understand stuff. But I spoke a Yiddish that was combined with English and French words. And I went to a Peretz Shula to start school, which was partly English and partly Yiddish. And by the time I was 6, we moved to Ottawa. My dad got a job and moved to Ottawa, where there were no Yiddish speakers. But I still can speak Yiddish and understand it, but I learned to read and write Yiddish before I learned English. And it was very odd because you were either going to meet Hasidic Jews who were my age at the time and who spoke Yiddish and English, or you're going to meet old people, or in that time, By the time I was in my 30s, late 30s, and I was back in Montreal shooting. I was shooting in Montreal quite a lot, and the crews were always speaking Joual, which they were surprised I could understand. But I went to university for a couple of years, or 1 year, in Montreal when I was 19, and I lived back in that area where I had grown up, and there were a lot of Hasidic Jews there, and I had like a Jewfro, and I looked like some kind of weird hippie, I guess, but I certainly was jeans and long hair and not Hasidic looking. But I got a kick out of walking by the Hasidic boys, the Hasidic boys, and just launching into Yiddish with them, because that wasn't supposed to happen, for them. That was really kind of shocking to them that anybody could speak Yiddish who didn't look like them. So my Yiddish is odd because I haven't had the opportunity to speak it to anyone, really. My parents really they spoke it to me, but more English than anything else, because they really wanted to learn English.